Thank you so much for joining us. It's a toss to you. Please go on.
Thank you very much, Deepika, and good evening to all the viewers of DD India. We have a very, very special guest joining us live on this broadcast who needs no introduction. The one and only Millben, top trending pop singer here in America. And I must tell you, she speaks thoda Hindi, but beautiful Hindi, and her love for India, her love for our national anthem, her love for everything Indian and our Prime Minister Modi and all Indians is no secret. Mary, thank you.
Namaste. Namaste to all of your audience and to all of India. What a joy it is to be here with you. Sakal. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Sakal. I watch Sakal all the time.
Okay,
so I'm a big fan of female journalists in India.
Okay.
And so I'm a big
Thank you.
supporter.
I'm humbled. I'm humbled.
I'm sorry.
Deepika, we must tell our viewers, Mary, I think everybody knows, Mary is going to be performing tonight at that big ticket event at Ronald Reagan Center in the evening. I will just toss it to her to tell, you can maybe spill some beans. And before that, she was sitting in the same row when you performed yoga on the International Yoga Day, in the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Yes. Well, it was such a wonderful day to be in New York, my home, I'll say, away from home. I want to first thank the ambassador, certainly, and all of the officials there at the United Nations for the wonderful invitation to be a part of International Yoga Day. It was a historic day for the Prime Minister. Certainly, you saw the beautiful exercise of yoga all over the world. And so it was just a great honor to be there with the Prime Minister to share that moment with him. I was telling, we were talking earlier, I said, wow, after I left New York, I said, I need to go take some more yoga classes. The Prime Minister, he is very fit. And I looked like an amateur doing yoga next to the Prime Minister, but I tell you, it was just a beautiful day to see so many countries and so many people from all across the world that ascended in New York for that wonderful day. And so I was very happy to share that moment with the Prime Minister and looking forward to sharing intimacy with the Prime Minister and so many guests tonight for his concluding event here for this official state visit in Washington, D.C.
So what's going to happen tonight?
Well, tonight, I tell you, I don't know all of the affairs, but I do know that I have the great honor to sing the Indian National Anthem tonight. I tell you.
Okay, that's nice.
And I'm very honored and grateful, and here's why. I have had a career to sing the American National Anthem for 4 consecutive U.S. presidents here in the United States. And to be able to receive an invitation to sing the anthem of another country is truly an honor. And I tell you, I love your anthem. It's filled with such emotion and such spirit. It speaks of the beautiful landscape of India. It speaks of freedom and democracy. It's such a beautiful, beautiful anthem, and it truly represents the essence of every heartbeat and soul of India. And so I'm so looking forward to presenting that tonight, certainly in the presence of the Prime Minister and so many distinguished guests. And it's going to be a beautiful night.
Yes. What about yesterday morning when we had, a big first? You were there?
Yes, yeah. Well, I tell you, it was
national anthem in the White House for the first time, an Indian tricolor, and it was drizzling.
It was drizzling, but I tell you, there was such pageantry, such beauty yesterday as the President and the First Lady so kindly welcomed the Prime Minister to the White House and certainly to the United States. And I tell you, I have been a part of a lot of state arrival visits for world leaders through my work when I worked for President Bush and First Lady Laura Bush as a young staffer. And then when I went on to sing for President Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, President Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump, and here recently this last year for the Bidens, being a part of these state arrival visits are so meaningful. But I must say, this is probably my favorite of all of the state arrival visits.
And what is the X factor that you love for India and everything Indian?
Well, I tell you, India, as the United States and India have so many commonalities, the U.S.-India relationship, the 2 largest democracies, certainly in the world, we share these common bonds of freedom and democracy, faith, freedom, and democracy. And so I have that connection with India. Certainly the African American community and the Indian community share these commonalities of very strong faith, very strong family, and certainly our love for country. And so I have been blessed to share those bonds with the Indian culture. And
You've performed in India also.
I did. When
Yes?
I was in India for the 75th anniversary
Yes,
last
yes,
year,
yes.
I was very blessed to open my trip singing for India Aspera. They were hosting their global forum in India during that time, and of course the Prime Minister is and the Indian government are close to India Aspera and the leadership there, and so it was wonderful to sing the Indian national anthem, opening my time there for the anniversary celebration, and then just to experience India. I just loved meeting people on the streets and out as we were out and about, and I tell you, I want to buy a house in India now.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
I fell in love again with the culture and the people, and so I am very much looking forward to returning to India for the G20 summit period, and spending some time really traveling across India and seeing more of the country and
You're
more
most
time with the
welcome.
people.
We have this saying, Atithi Devo Bhava.
Yes.
So, which means we honor our guests,
Yes.
and guest is
Oh,
like a god for us.
That's
Yes.
right.
Mary, if you could just, as an American, how is, one thing I can say very confidently, Prime Minister Modi is very, very popular here.
Absolutely.
Do you feel there has been a change in the last 9 years, the way Americans used to look at Indians, and now how America now looks at India under Prime Minister Modi?
Well, I would say yes.
So some sort of shift.
Yes, and I would say in a positive, because Prime Minister Modi specifically, I give him credit for his impact on the strength of the U.S.-India relationship, and I think his leadership has just brought to the forefront more of the Indian culture in such a beautiful way. It's certainly his leadership has opened a tremendous opportunity for free enterprise, his advancements in infrastructure, his advancements in technology, certainly his advancements in education, his compassion for youth and stimulating young people in India. Those are all energies that we certainly share in the United States, and so I think his agenda in India has put India on the map, not only in a positive way and an enlightened way in the United States, but certainly across the world. And so I give a lot of credit to the Prime Minister. He has put India at the forefront because of his leadership.
You see the chemistry between the two leaders?
Very much.
The way they, Would you like to talk about it?
The way that,
Because we see through camera, you've seen it right there.
Yes, well, I would say certainly I've had the privilege to watch the Prime Minister through multiple administrations. Certainly his interactions with President Obama, which were so positive. Certainly I had a very up-close, intimate space with his interactions with President Trump during my performances for the President and First Lady Melania Trump. And certainly now seeing his interfaces with President Biden and First Lady Joe Biden, they've all been positive and consistent and welcoming, and that's because, first, the United States and India is a strong relationship and alliance as two democracies, but the Prime Minister is a man of the people, and that is certainly something we resonate here in the United States, that a leader that has a real pulse of his people.
Yeah.
We take that, we see that type of energy and take hold of that kind of pride in our President being a man and one day a woman of the people. And so I see that in the Prime Minister. At the same time, he's such a humble man. He comes from such humble beginnings, and to see his life now as Prime Minister, he's an inspiration. His life and his journey is an inspiration to every Indian in India and across the world. And we understand what you call the Indian dream, we call the American dream.
Yeah.
We understand that journey, that energy, that inspiration. And so I really believe that also is a reason why the Prime Minister is so popular here in the United States and across the world, because he is a real example of the Indian dream. He really is. He really
Great.
is.
Mary, multiple standing ovations for our Prime Minister yesterday.
Saw that at the joint Congress, and I tell
It's
you,
historic.
It's historic, and it's genuine. You know, as I sat and watched the energy, and certainly the Prime Minister's speech was inspiring and also timely, certainly as it relates to what's going on in the world. and I love to see the bipartisan energy. We sometimes in America don't always have that bipartisan energy, and that's okay.
That's okay. That's part of it.
That's part of a free society, a democracy. But what I love so much about yesterday was seeing both sides of the aisle unified in support of our relationship with India and unified in support of Prime Minister Modi. And the Prime Minister needs our support right now. India is positioned in a very serious and unique way with a lot of the conflicts that we are facing across the world. And so the Prime Minister needs our support now more than ever, not only for the strengthening of our relationship, but for what India now has to represent in the region, and certainly as it relates to conflicts across the world. And the Prime Minister is the best leader for this. Again, he's a man of the people, so he understands the everyday conditions of everyday Indians. At the same time, he understands the world, and he understands what's needed in the world, certainly at a time where freedom and democracy is being challenged. And so I want to do everything that I can, certainly in my position as an artist and as an advocate for people, as an advocate for freedom, as an advocate for democracy. I want to do everything I can to come alongside the Prime Minister and help him, certainly as it relates to India and his agenda with the U.S.-India relationship, and certainly what he is charting to do across the world.
Is Indian Prime Minister Modi, because I've interacted with a lot of people here, there is a sense that they don't only look at him as somebody who heads the state, Indian Prime Minister, but more of a global leader.
Absolutely.
One of the most influential global leaders.
Absolutely. And he is, again, just repeating, India is positioned in such a serious and unique way as it relates to what's happening in the world. And so he is a global leader. And I think, again, he's been so received across the world because of his Indian dream journey, because of his humble beginnings, because of the inspiration of his journey, and certainly being a man of the people.
The highest trappings of Indian-American warming of ties visible there, out there in open in this particular visit. The fact that your president, has accorded the maiden state, the state visit to Prime Minister on the invitation of President Biden, and that is certainly seen as the highest expression of honor and prestige.
Absolutely. And again, the President and First Lady so kindly and warmly received the Prime Minister in a beautiful way. But that is standard in America. We have an appreciation certainly for our friends, and we try very hard to work better with our adversaries. But I will say these state arrival visits, when they happen with world leaders, it's a wonderful time for, I believe, America to really see the success of that certain leader, see more of the culture, which again I believe that has been on full display this week. The Indian culture, the Indian music, all of the different faiths certainly that are in India, the essence of what India truly is, and its contributions because of the Prime Minister. That was on full display this week. Most importantly, what was on full display was the strength of the United States and India relationship. And again, I believe that this relationship is the most important relationship in the world. Okay. We are the beacon of freedom and democracy.
Right. That's a very strong right that you've made. Yes. We need to give it back to my colleague Deepika. But before that, Deepika, just a second. We're not going to let you go without singing a line or two.
Yes. Well, I figured you were going to ask me that, and forgive me, this is what I look like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. So,
that's fine.
I'll have a ball gown on. And
a line in Hindi or two. A line in Hindi or two.
Well, let's see. How about my favorite Hindu hymn, which I love? Om Jaya Jagadish Hare, Swami Jaya Jagadish Hare, Bhakta Jano ke Sankata, Dase Jano ke Sankata, Shanam me dura kare, Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. You say it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. It was such a pleasure having you on this special broadcast. Namaste from Mary, and it's Namaste from here. We are going to see you tonight.
Thank you so much, Sakar, for bringing us exclusive conversation with Mary. We are very excited to see her perform tonight at the super event on the last day of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit in the USA. Thank you so much for joining us and bringing us those exclusive inputs straight from Washington, D.C. So this was Mary Millben, who's going to perform tonight at Ronald Reagan, and the